Don't let the fact, and I'm now recording everyone, don't let the fact that this illustration includes a gentleman seeming to either smoke a pipe or blow smoke, I'm not sure what that guy's doing, don't let that lead you towards a life of emitting fumes or inhaling them. Postscriptum? Yes.
After the writing?
Not quite. This is something that's really, you have the right idea, but if we narrow it down a little bit more, perhaps, with consideration of what form of a verb scriptum is. Right. No, not quite.
Would it be after having been written?
Okay, that's getting close. But I want a strict answer to my strict question. What verb form is scriptum? Okay, Bryce? It's a perfect passive participle. Okay. And for the purposes of today's quiz, what's the cookie cutter translation of scriptum? Written or having been written. Okay. So those are two options. What I'm going to be telling you now, and you guys will be seeing in the near future, is, and this is really complicated, but it's not something you have to worry too much about right yet. What type of verb form is scriptum? A perfect passive participle, which means that broadly speaking it is a verbal adjective. Good. As a verbal adjective, okay, has a verb's idea, but can function as an adjective. What else can adjectives, if they want to, or if the speaker wants to, what else can they function as? They can function as nouns. Do you remember our discussion in lesson 26 about substantives, which are adjectives which behave as nouns? You guys are going to start seeing in vocab lists words like scriptum or factum or other words. And let's make this into a substantive. Something having been written or something written afterwards. What I'm trying to tell you is that, I'm trying to tell you a lot of things, but the word post in this particular phrase of the day is not the preposition after, it's the conjunction, sorry, not conjunction, the adverb afterwards. And think about where is it that you guys see PS? Okay, so you've written your letter, you've signed it, and telling your Aunt Betty how wonderful she is and how delicious her cooking is and how much you miss her and thank you for the birthday gift. And then you sign it and then you decide to say something else.
P.S.
What's that? P.S. Your check didn't clear. Please send another one. Sorry, that's terrible. Or P.S. I hope that Uncle Buck is doing well too. So a P.S. as an abbreviation in a modern letter stands for the Latin phrase postscriptum, which means something written afterwards. You've written the main body of the letter, you add another thought, that extra thought is something written afterwards.
Don't write it after the postscriptum? Isn't that like postscriptum?
Actually, it's not postscriptum, it's postscriptum. Have you guys ever done that? A PS, and then if you add a second thought that has been written afterwards, do you abbreviate it as PSS or PPS?
PPS.
It's actually PPS.
Wait, here, PPPS?
Sure. Okay.
If you're just feeling
But my bladder's in good shape, so.
I thought it was you, and you were a senator, and your little like term thing ended, and you have to not be a senator anymore. Would you just not be allowed to be in it? Would you just be at something else?
No, there's a. It's a good question as we return to the lecture on the Republic, and thank you for that. If you were a senator, once you were selected as a member of the Senate, you were a member of the Senate for life.
Oh, I get it.
And so senators, unlike modern American senators, don't have a fixed term. If you are a member of the Roman Senate, once you've been selected for that membership, it's a lifelong position. And you would retain your seat in the Comitia Curiata for the duration of your life. Yes?
Could you retire for that too, or was it forced?
No, people who are old and feeble, or injured in war later on, they often did retire from the Senate, or simply, if they didn't formally resign, they just stopped showing up. And, we have situations like that as well in modern U.S. politics, where if a person is old, certain senators get old, they stop showing up for a time, and they could resign or not. And same thing is true of participation in the Comitia Curiata. If you are a senator, there's no one beating you into that assembly. If you don't show up, it just means you lose your say in it. Okay, so one assembly down. Of the assemblies, the smallest and probably the least influential, the least directly influential in politics. As we move forward, though, we're going to now talk about another limited Senate. Sorry, not a Senate, assembly. It's called the Comitia Tributa. It's often referred to also as the tribal assembly. Not to make you think of Native American tribes or African tribes or anything like that, but in Rome, a tribe was originally a geographical designation of where your family came from in the city of Rome and surrounding farmland. And over the course of time, new citizens were just somehow magically assigned to a certain tribe. Well, you guys are writing frantically, which is good. But do we need to talk about when this assembly was created and why? It was not an automatic, not an automatic / it wasn't there from the beginning of the Republic. In fact, it took a lot of pushing and pulling to get this assembly created. Should we talk about that at all, or are you guys prepared to write the essay on the secession of the plebs without me discussing it?
Yeah, we can write the essay.
Okay.
I can write the essay.
Okay, some people can write that essay. Now, what I will say is that this assembly was created to meet the needs of the plebeian class in Rome at a time when the plebeian class was ready to leave Rome, to abandon it, and to create a new city. That event, that almost event of leaving the city of Rome for good, happened in 494 BC. Is that early or late in the Republic? Stop writing and start thinking and write the essay. It was very early. The Republic was formed in 509 BC. 15 years later, things had gotten pretty tense within the city of Rome. Why? Because the plebeian class felt that it was being mistreated. The Roman state, at that time, the Roman Republic, was in an almost constant cycle of war. Rome had to defend itself from the Etruscans, who wanted to take Rome back and put Tarquin the Proud back into power. Rome was also facing pressure from Sabines, Aequi, Volsci, and other ethnic groups around it, so that Rome was in an almost constant state of war. If you don't listen, you won't get the point of this, you won't be able to write the essay if you're just blindly copying down what's on the screen. Why was that a period of hardship for the plebeians? Because war is tough?
Because they were the infantrymen.
Well, they were the infantrymen, and the equites were the cavalry, and the senators also served as commanding officers. Basically, all the social classes were putting their lives on the line. But it's something more about the relative danger that commanders and infantry and equestrians might face.
Oh, like, because the infantrymen are, like, actually fighting like right next to the other people, so they have a much higher likelihood?
That's probably true that the infantry being, in close contact with the enemy are more likely to be wounded or die. But I want to say again, it has nothing to do with the relative danger of the position you hold in the army.
Was it their farms being destroyed when the armies marched through?
Yes, it had to do with farms and land being destroyed. Think about this. In ancient Rome, war wasn't conducted by, dropping a bomb any time of year on your enemy and watching them blow up. Not that that's how war is conducted today, but that's a component of how war is conducted today. In Rome, fighting was limited to the period mostly from March through October. If you are a small landholder, what can you not do if from March through October you're on guard duty at the borders of Rome, or you're staging an attack upon a neighboring town to punish them for rebelling? You can't tend to your land. You can't plant new crops. You can't harvest the crops that are ripe. Okay? You can't weed your crops. And in essence, a large segment of the plebeian population during this 15-year period was suffering economically. Their land was destroyed by invading armies, as Emma has said. As Nick has said, they didn't, because they were on military service, they couldn't tend to their land and their crops and harvest them and have the economic productivity of their crops because they were off fighting the war. When you don't have an income, what do you need to do?
Get one.
Well, you can't really get one necessarily automatically by, waving a magic wand. What do you probably have to do?
Beg.
Well, before beg,
Go find a job.
no, you're off fighting in war. How can you go find a job? Because the senators and the equestrians who are your commanding officers are saying, thank you for volunteering to defend Rome. You can't leave that.
Side job.
Side job, okay? What are you going to do when you're sitting in a camp outside an enemy town?
Crochet.
You're going to crochet. Okay, Owen. Well, that might be a marketable skill for you. But no, you're going to borrow. If you can't feed your family over the winter because you couldn't harvest enough crops for them, you're probably going to go into debt. You're going to borrow. Ask your parents about what that's like. Not fun. Especially if you're counting on the next year's harvest to pay back that money. And then, shoot, the Aequi decide to invade from the south. And while in 496 BC you were up north attacking the Etruscans, all of a sudden in 495 BC you're called to defend Rome from the Aequi invasion from the south. That's where your farm is. What have the Aequi done on the way to your land and to the city of Rome? Flattened it. What crop are you going to harvest to pay back your debt?
All of the dead stuff.
None. Okay? And you go into debt again. And all of a sudden, your senator, the guy, your patronus who lent you the money, is saying, I need my money back. I need my money back. I need to get a new Maserati. Just kidding. I'm expecting my money back. When can you pay me? And there came to be a huge crisis over debt. Okay. Yes, Nick. I have a minute left. Okay. This is not going anywhere as fast as it needs to be. I need a Maserati to get through the lecture. So we're going to stop it now. We'll continue it tomorrow.